Right, and we are back. Are you all right?
Yeah,
You're right, babe.
just laughing at you just then.
Okay, that's fine. That's quite all right. Is it because I was adjusting myself?
Yeah. It was just a triangle of madness thing. Clapping, burping, clapping.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. Right, well, we're going to have a catch-up before we go into part 2 of Ted Bundy.
The face you just pulled in.
Bastard.
Like, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of Emma Stone a little bit just then.
I love Emma Stone.
It was the face. I don't know if you've seen her lip sync. She did a lip sync on something.
No,
and,
but I need to watch that.
She pulls faces in it. It's quite funny, and you just pulled a face that reminded me of it. That was it.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Because I do love her. She's
Have you
fab.
seen Poor Things?
No, is it good?
I loved it.
Okay, I'm going to have to watch it.
I loved it.
It is on my list.
Yeah.
I just haven't got around to watching it, but I do love her.
Yeah.
So.
You should, watch Poor Things. It's very good.
Have you seen that film with her in it called Easy A?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
I
it's
love
based
that.
on the Scarlet Letter.
Yes. Certainly is. Oh, and whilst we're randomly talking about pop culture, I watched 10 Things I Hate About You because I've got Disney Channel again now.
One of my favourites.
And so I watched that again. I hadn't watched it in ages.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
It is such a good film, and I love all these like modern retellings of Shakespeare.
I know, it's fab. Mm-hmm. It is fab. And I just love everything about that film. The fashion, the music's really good.
The acting.
Yeah.
I love the acting. I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone in it is just brilliant. Yeah, well, and that was nice and light-hearted before we go into just awfulness.
Yeah.
I did want to mention one thing. I've noticed since I've moved here, there's a lot of snails. Like, a lot of snails.
Yeah, we get a lot at ours, and slugs like when it's been raining.
But they're out when it's not been raining. Snails are just there.
Is that a fen thing?
But there's like
More snails live in the fens?
there's more snails than I've ever seen in other places. So I don't know. That's why I was going to say, are they at your house? Do you get them? Because we're only 10 minutes apart from each other. But literally when I'm walking the Doogie Bears, I'm like, fucking hell, there's a lot of snails around here.
Yeah, we do get a lot.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a fen thing.
Maybe it is. Cuba's going to find out for us. Also, you guys don't have iPhones, do you?
No, I've never owned an iPhone.
God, I'm getting really annoyed with the predictive text. And I've done my nails, and I've done them slightly longer than I would normally have them.
Do the chickens have large talons?
Yeah. So just my text messages, I don't text. My WhatsApps are taking forever because it just keeps just predicting stupid things. And when I was writing this, there is a victim in it called Kimberly, and my phone, for some reason, kept wanting to write kombucha. And I'm like, oh my God, my phone is a hipster.
Oh my God.
So that was random. It's like, what are you going to more likely use, Kimberly or kombucha? Maybe hipsters, maybe it is kombucha that is more used now than the name Kimberly. I don't know.
So is it? I don't really know that many people called Kimberly.
I mean, I'm thinking Kardashians. No, I know your thoughts.
The dismay.
I'm sorry, I do love them. And also, sorry, Goobs, we're going to Vegas, baby.
We're going to Vegas, baby.
Because we did talk about the fact that we thought we might be going together.
It is now official.
Official.
I'm going to Vegas.
I'm so
with
excited.
you.
And we're going to go to Zach Bagan's Haunted Museum.
Oh, I'm going to get the T-shirt and everything.
I was just about to say, you have to get the T-shirt.
I'll bring a T-shirt, a T-shirt back from Mark as well.
Obviously. Oh yeah, we'll do a goodie bag for Mark. We'll bring back loads of cool random stuff from Vegas.
I mean, the invite is
there.
there.
We did invite you. You can come. You're still invited.
You won't go.
Well, to be fair, he has to earn a living and look after baby Eddie.
Yeah.
So
he's letting me go off on my jollies.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry. I love you.
She's not really sorry. She's not really sorry.
I'm going to fucking Vegas.
I like that we started this in a very light-hearted note. And
Reggie's back.
Reggie Elvis is with us again today.
He's my shadow when I'm here.
To be fair, this is the same day that we're recording both these episodes.
It is, but he's chosen both times to come and sit with me.
He has.
Well, he's my familiar.
He is.
We knew each other in a past life.
You did, and you guys have known each other since day dot.
Yeah,
He's always loved you. Right, okay, so we may as well get on with bloody Ted Bundy. So
Bloody Bundy.
in part one, just to recap, I told you about Ted Bundy's childhood, some of his first documented victims, and his MO. And if you haven't heard that episode, then
Tom,
you need to go back and listen to it. Otherwise, this won't really make a lot of sense. So do that. And to reiterate my previous warnings, this is not a case for the faint-hearted. It's disturbing and it's terrifying. So if you're easily triggered, probably give this a miss.
and he will make you really fucking angry.
Oh, angry, disgusted, all of the things.
You want to bleach everything
Yeah,
and erase your memory of ever hearing
you will.
about Ted Bundy.
And actually, if you want a break, if you have listened to the first one and you are disturbed and you want a bit of a sort of paranormal pit stop, we do have lots of other episodes that you could just go and listen to give your brain a ghostly washout.
Yes.
And then come back to this one refreshed and ready for
to
horror.
go through it all over again.
Exactly. So,
Don't say we didn't warn
we
you.
did, you just constantly warnings because, the Bundy of it all. So before we dive back in to the pits of despair, it's important to mention at the time Bundy was abducting, raping, killing and dismembering young women in America, the concept of a serial killer was relatively new. We did touch upon this in episode 1.
Yeah.
But the fact that someone could continue murdering multiple victims and not get caught immediately was an absolutely terrifying notion.
So Reg is looking at me like, why aren't you stroking me?
Oh, Reggie.
To be fair, you will be my comfort.
Yes, exactly. He's comforting you through this. And this kind of brutal crime was in fact happening all over the States during the 70s. There were loads of serial killers around about this time.
Yeah.
And it was understandable. Everybody was terrified.
Yeah, so you come out the Summer of Love in the 60s into like the severe 70s.
Severe 70s, yeah.
Yeah, it's like such a juxtaposition.
It really is. It's, well, I mean, you obviously, you had Bundy, you had the Night Stalker, you had Charles Manson, who, are you going to do an episode?
I'm going to do an episode of Manson, yeah.
Good, because I know a fair bit about Manson family, but I would like to know more just from a
I'm gonna
morbid
need
curiosity
to
point of view.
like sit down and really go into that because it's just a mass of
Maybe when you don't have like a really heavy assignment. But that book Chaos that I lent you, I think is probably quite helpful.
Should I give you that back?
Yeah, but then I gave it back to you because you said you hadn't had time to read it. And I was like, take it back then.
I need to find that.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, to be fair, you can keep that. I'll buy another one because
No, I'll buy you another one if I've lost your one.
no, it's fine because then we'll both have a copy because I want to read it anyway.
I'll have a copy, I just don't know where.
It's fine.
It's just books everywhere.
So the thing about Ted Bundy, again, I sort of briefly touched on this in the first episode, was that he appeared to be very charming. He was clean cut, he was well dressed, and he was respectable because he worked in politics.
I really like how you're avoiding the word considered handsome. Handsome.
He was considered a hamster. It's okay.
He's got the cheek. No, because I've got hamster cheeks.
No, you don't.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It keeps me youthful.
You don't have hamster cheeks.
Okay.
Hamsters keep food like down here. So that
Okay, I'm a reverse hamster.
Okay. Yeah. I think Gibbs wants to leave.
He always wants to leave. I won't let him.
We'll find you.
Helen won't let you leave.
No, you're not allowed. Right.
Back to it.
Can I also just highlight the fact that you're drinking your coffee through a straw as well? So anyone watching on YouTube, and we're both morons.
To be fair though, there is reasoning behind it. Yours is different to mine at the moment.
Well, it's because we drink so much tea and coffee, it helps to not have stained teeth.
And I'm a smoker as well, so it's like double the stainage. But also because I've just had my lips inflated.
Yay!
I don't care. Like I've had them done before, and it's just been a while. I think it was like last time was before COVID.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
that's
it's
what
been
you
a while.
used
So I've just finally about 2018 was the last time I had them done.
Blimey.
So you remember that. So that's why I'm drinking through a straw and why I'm bruised. But I don't care.
You look fabulous.
Thank you, darling. Be better once the swelling's gone down a little bit. But again, I don't care.
Well, if you look fabulous now, you're only going to just look better, aren't you?
Thank you, sweetie. I love you.
I love you too.
Shall we get back to Ted?
Yeah, let's get back to this fucking arsehole. So he didn't look like the monster that he actually was. He didn't look scary. You know, if he didn't... I mean, we think he's got murderer eyes.
He's got crazy eyes.
Yeah. But, you know, I guess people who aren't looking for murderer eyes maybe would think he looks sort of, inverted commas, normal.
You don't meet people and think, you look like a murderer. I mean, some people can look weird and, you know, you can say, oh, you look like you could be a bit of a nonce.
I don't know, because I have met people where I've thought either you are or you are going to be a serial killer.
Yeah.
And
then they
a
turn
lot
out
of
to be
the time
lovely.
it's eyes.
Yeah.
Crazy
definitely.
eyes.
It is crazy eyes. Yeah. And that's how you can tell with females as well. If they're a little bit psychotic, you just look at their eyes. Well, from experience.
Oh, okay. What, from working in the prison or just from life?
No, I didn't work in a female prison, just from life.
Oh, okay. Just from life. Oh, he's Gibbs has put lots of crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, the character in Orange is the New Black
Yes.
is known as Crazy Eyes.
Exactly.
But she's lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she committed a crime, but
you know.
you know.
So, I think the fact that he looked so, in inverted commas, normal, and you know, he had friends that even when he was arrested did not believe he was a murderer, and I think that really went a long way to the fact that he committed the crimes for so long and he got away with it for so long because he just didn't look like a serial killer.
But then what does a serial killer look like? Well, obviously we've got examples now.
Yeah, I guess our frame of reference is people like Ed Gein, although he's not a serial killer.
Ed Kemper.
Ed Kemper, obviously
John Wayne Gacy.
the Night Stalker.
We could be going on forever.
Crazy.
But, you know, is that because we, like you said before, because we know,
yeah.
So we're looking more and you're like, actually, yeah, their eyes are a bit too far apart, or not that that's an indication of a serial killer, but, you know, you notice certain things perhaps about their appearance that you think, actually, yeah,
but
something's not quite right there.
I mean, that's going off visuals.
Yeah.
I very much read vibes, and I possibly have told this story on this podcast before, but I've told you this before. But for example, when I was at primary school, there was a boy there who went on to commit an absolutely horrific crime.
Yeah.
And I hated being around him. He gave me the heebie-jeebies. He made me cry once just by telling me he loved me, and he made me feel sick, like I felt nauseous around him. And he went on to be a horrific person, and he did horrific things at school as well, to be fair. So I'm very much vibey. And I do get that from pictures sometimes as well. I don't know. But
Yeah, see, I don't know how good I am at reading people. Or that initial... I'm cynical about everyone that I meet for the first time, pretty much. But yeah, I don't know if it's like a vibe. Why are you looking at me like that?
Oh,
I think Mark's
Goobs is
disagreeing.
going to argue.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I'd offer up a spare room to anyone I meet on the for the first time. No. But that's probably usually people we know them, if that makes sense.
So they've been vetted.
Or you'd assume.
Yeah, one should never assume.
Meet my new friend. I don't know where he's going with that anymore.
Anyway, shall I get back to... just because I want to get this over and done with, so I'm so sick of talking about Ted Bundy.
She's enjoying herself, I promise.
Well, no.
No.
So, you know, he didn't look like a serial killer, whatever a serial killer looks like. But I think the fact that he worked in politics, he was clean-shaven, well-presented, you know, he wasn't scary on first meeting, perhaps.
First impressions.
First impressions weren't horrific, although when we see him, we go, ah!
Yeah.
But there we go. So on the 30th of August in 1974, Ted Bundy moved to Salt Lake City in Utah, leaving his emergency services department job in Olympia, Washington, to resume his studies as a law student. On the 2nd of October, 16-year-old Nancy Wilcox disappeared while out to buy gum. Witnesses later reported seeing her in a VW Beetle. Then on the 11th of October, Rhonda Stapley disappeared. She was a first-year pharmacy student waiting for a bus to take her back to University of Utah. Bundy offered to give her a lift in his Bug, took her to Big Cottonwood Canyon, repeatedly strangled and raped her, but she managed to escape, if you can believe it.
That's a will to survive. That.
My
I'm not saying the
God.
others didn't have that, but Jesus Christ, she must
Yeah.
have fought.
So basically, Bundy turned his back on Stapley very briefly, giving her a chance to run, and she jumped into a nearby river to get away. I mean, that is...
She noped the fuck out of there.
She noped the fuck out of there. That is hella brave. That really is. But, Stapley didn't report the attack. Instead, she hid her story for nearly 40 years and didn't come forward until 2011.
Oh my God.
In an interview, Stapley said, "I was afraid that people would treat me differently if they knew what happened. I wanted to put it behind me and get on with my life, pretend it never happened."
I can kind of get that because you know, you'll be seen as a victim and then you'll always be seen as the victim of Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Ted Bundy's victim, and then it will be Ted.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just don't need that. Sometimes you just need to...
That's the thing. And I think, you know, yeah, she could have stopped other people, possibly could have stopped other people going through, but who knows? You can't tell.
It's speculation.
It is speculation, and who knows what you would do in that kind of horrific situation. You just can't surmise.
You know, it was fight or flight, and she flew.
She flew, and then she went, no, I'm not even talking about this. Which, again, you can understand why. She probably doesn't want to go over and over the awful details of what she's just been through.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can see it from every kind of angle, really.
You know, she's on the precipice of losing her life. At that point, it's just like...
You know, and the thing is as well, the mind deals with things so differently. She could have gone into some sort of shock. She could have blanked it out without realising, you know.
You think how many victims of abuse and things like that don't come forward because would they be believed as well? Again, it's of that time.
Yeah, it's, you know, exactly. So, yeah, you can understand it from sort of every angle, really. But just 1 week later, 17-year-old Melissa Ann Smith vanished after meeting her friend at a pizza parlour. She had planned to walk home, pick up some clothes, and then go to a slumber party at her friend's house. But Smith never made it home, and her naked body was found 9 days later by a deer hunter in Summit Park, which is in the mountains east of Salt Lake City. Melissa had been raped and sodomised. Her cause of death was believed to be multiple brain hemorrhages after suffering blows to the head. Mm-hmm. She also had one of her stockings around her neck, which suggested she was also strangled. Smith was believed to have died a few days after she was abducted by Bundy, which meant she was held captive before her death. Her head had been severely beaten with a crowbar and her body had been battered ante-mortem, which suggests cruel torture before her dreadful death. Bundy later described, quote, rituals he carried out with Melissa's body, which included washing her hair and applying makeup to her. So again, I know some of the information on these victims sounds like there's a lot on one and not on another. That's just how it is out there. Some of the sources cover, I've obviously looked at lots of sources. You can get lots of information on some people, not a lot on others. It's just, the way it is.
Yeah.
On Halloween, how dare he try and ruin Halloween?
Has he just desecrated the holy day?
Yeah. I know. So on Halloween, 17-year-old Laura Ann Amy disappeared after leaving a Halloween party. Some sources say she was leaving a cafe. So again, different reports. And allegedly tried to hitchhike home. Because in the 70s, everybody hitchhiked.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a really scary thing now, but it's what people did.
And we're learning from what's previously happened. This is why we don't hitchhike anymore.
Yeah, that's why we don't hitchhike anymore. But, back then...
I need a ride home.
Yeah,
I'll
hitchhike.
just stick my thumb out.
Exactly.
And, I think there was a thing that used to go around, like, truckers and stuff. It was arse, grass or cash. So nobody rode for free.
Okay.
And I think it was something was always expected, but I don't know. Well, it depends how far you were travelling, I suppose.
This is true. But sources suggest that her family didn't realise she was missing for another few days.
Aye.
Laura's frozen body was later discovered by hikers in American Fork Canyon on Thanksgiving Day. Her face was beaten beyond recognition. She had been strangled with nylon stockings, raped and sodomised. Ugh. This guy is just horrific.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting. I spent days researching this and I honestly felt like I needed to be exercised afterwards. It's just...
Sorry, just imagine I'm going for a run.
I probably should have exercised afterwards, but also I needed an exorcism. On the 8th of November, Bundy strikes again, twice in one day. Posing as a police officer in a place called Murray, Utah, Bundy lured 18-year-old Carol Durant, from a mall to his Volkswagen Beetle. He attempted to put Durant in handcuffs, but inadvertently fastened them on the same wrist or just didn't quite get it right. Again, sources vary in the information, but she managed to escape. Later,
that's a rookie error.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre for him.
Later,
he's getting complacent because he's...
Well, that's it. He's like overconfident. Later that same day, 17-year-old Deborah Kent disappeared after leaving a high school play to pick up her young brother. Investigators found a key in the school parking lot that fit the handcuffs used earlier on Durant.
Oh.
Which tied the two things together. Well, this is going to absolutely make you feel really sad.
Okay.
Kent's parents refused to turn off their home's porch light ever since the disappearance. In an interview in 2000, her mother said, "We always left the porch light on when they went out at night, and the last one home always turned it off. I will never turn it off. As long as I'm here, I will never turn it off."
Just because their daughter never came home.
I literally can't cope. And again, like we were saying, this gets lost. These
details.
These details get lost in just his absolute vileness.
Oh, my heart.
So, victim count goes on. I've kept these are slightly briefer. Again, I've got 2 episodes for this, so it's easier to find information on some rather than others. So, January 12th. Karen Eileen Campbell disappeared from a hotel hallway in Snowmass, Colorado. Her body was discovered on a dirt road near the hotel with skull fractures and knife wounds on February 17th. March 15th, Julie Kyle Cunning...
Missing from a hotel hallway?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit of a random one, isn't it? So it's obviously earlier documented murders, it was people's homes, basement apartments a lot of the time, and like campus kind of areas. But yeah, apparently this was a hotel hallway. March 15th, Julie Lyle Cunningham disappeared from Vail in Colorado after she left her apartment in the Apollo Park neighbourhood to visit a local pub, tavern. Her body was buried according to Bundy, near a place called Rifle, which was 90 miles west of Vale, but it was never found. A lot of his confessions towards the end, he confessed to some, and, you know, bodies were or weren't found, and then bodies were found and he didn't confess to them. So it's very hard to actually piece together what he did.
Yeah, and who he actually killed.
Exactly. So on April 6th, Denise Lynn Oliverson was abducted whilst cycling to her parents' house in Grand Junction, Colorado. According to Bundy, he threw her body in the Colorado River, 5 miles west of Grand Junction, but it was never found. Again, that's why these victims, there's hardly anything on, because the bodies weren't found, so it makes it more difficult.
It also makes you wonder whether he's like saying he did these things but didn't actually do them.
Yeah.
There were other people.
That's the thing. I mean, there's no sense in anything he says. So on May the 6th, Lynette Dawn Culver was abducted from Pocatello in Idaho after she left Alameda Junior High School for her lunch break. And according to Bundy, her body was thrown into what authorities believe to be Snake River. But again, she was never found.
And like,
what do you think?
Obviously some rivers then, you know, go into the sea and stuff, but I don't think you'd find them. You would find them in a river, surely. Like, unless they went out to sea and then got washed away.
Don't forget, this is the 70s. You know, the technology wasn't what it is today with regards to sort of identifying body parts, and, you know, perhaps they were. And the other thing is, don't forget, you know, this is him saying this.
Yeah.
And also, we mentioned in the first episode of this that the different police jurisdictions weren't talking to each other.
Yes.
So bodies could have turned up if they'd gone into different areas.
That's a good point.
And
And now,
perhaps
we've got a Jane Doe.
Yeah, perhaps it wasn't pieced together as being part of this sort of
that makes
situation.
Sense. Okay.
Again, this is all stipulation. On June 28th, Susan Curtis disappeared during a youth conference at Brigham Young University, when she left her friends to walk back to her dorm and brush her teeth. Her body was buried, according to Bundy, along a highway near Price, which is 75 miles east of Provo, but again, was never found. In August 1975, Bundy is finally arrested, but not for murder. Police are actually trying to pull Ted for a driving violation, and when he tries to get away by turning his headlights off and speeding through stop signs, he was finally stopped in his VW Beetle, was searched. How you can speed in a VW Beetle that hasn't been modified, I don't know, but...
The thing is, it's quite a distinct car that, you know...
Yeah, but...
So they'd be looking for it anyway, like after, if they didn't catch him.
At this time, there were so many Beetles on the road. There were honestly thousands. It was a very common car.
Yeah.
So where we would think, God, that would stick out like a sore thumb.
But they would have seen, like, his license plate or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
So when they finally stopped him, they searched his car. And during the search, police unexpectedly found handcuffs, an ice pick, a crowbar, tights with the eye holes cut out, along with other strange items that you wouldn't just randomly have in your car. And it was also noted that the front passenger seat was missing. So police arrested Ted Bundy on suspicion of burglary. Because they were like, oh, maybe he's been robbing things. Yeah. Police compared the odd things found in Bundy's car to those Carol DeRonch described seeing in her attacker's car, and when DeRonch picked Bundy out of a lineup, the police charged him with attempted kidnapping. They also strongly suspected they had the man responsible for the tri-state murder spree that was being investigated. Don't worry, this is not over. It just gets more frustrating.
Don't worry. I'm worried that it doesn't end.
No, yeah, you know what I mean. So Bundy went to trial for the attempted kidnapping of Carol DeRonch in February 1976. This just shows his arrogance. He waived his right to a jury trial and was found guilty. Bundy was sentenced to a 15-year prison, and during this time, police were investigating Bundy's possible links to other murders. They had credit card statements that put him in the same area of Colorado where several women disappeared in early 1975. And following this, in October of 1976, Bundy was charged with the murder of Karen Campbell. So Bundy was then extradited from the Utah prison to Colorado for the trial and decided to serve as his own lawyer.
Yeah.
Of course he did. Because he was representing himself, he was permitted to appear in court without leg restraints, and he was able to move freely from the courtroom to the law library inside the courthouse.
I fucking hate him.
So you can probably guess what happens next.
Yes, aside from the fact that I know, but did you watch the Zac Efron thing?
No, I was trying to find it. It was on my list, and it is on my list of ones to watch, but it wasn't on Netflix anymore.
He conveys the arrogance very well.
Right.
There are certain things I think were done wrong with it.
Okay.
But he does convey the arrogance of Bundy very well, and like the whole charming thing. Because didn't like the jury like him or something, or a lot of like law enforcement around the time? Like,
yeah,
it's like him.
I mean, I'll talk about this in the whole pop culture part of it, but I watched the Ted Bundy tapes, and there's a lot. He is just so full of it, and he's just, you can tell
skin crawl.
He's just loving the chance to just talk to witnesses. That means they have to be cross-examined by their by the perpetrator.
Yeah,
it's just like, what?
It's a performance for him.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like all like Hollywood.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, at this time, he's still saying he's innocent. A lot of his friends and colleagues still believe he is innocent. So he still thinks he can get away with this.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You got to be all kinds of, like, stupid. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sociopath, psychopath.
Also not sorry.
Narcissist. So in June 1977, during a pre-trial hearing, Bundy escaped by jumping out of the law library window. He was captured a week later, though. But the fact he could escape...
The security was so lax.
I don't care if he's representing himself. He should still have restraints on. He's a murderer and a rapist.
He's on trial for that shit. Like,
exactly.
You can represent... You can still walk in fucking restraints.
Yeah.
Albeit small steps.
And also,
that's not the point.
Why does he need to walk around? Why does he need to walk around?
Escort him to the fucking library.
Yeah, exactly. So, on the 30th of December in 1977, Ted Bundy escaped again. This time from prison, and managed to get from prison to Tallahassee in Florida, where he rented an apartment near Florida State University. And he did all of this under the fake name Chris Hagen.
How did he escape from prison?
He basically starved himself, and he crawled through a tiny opening in the ceiling. So it's almost like it was like kind of like an alcove for a light, but it could be removed. And he lost so much weight that he actually managed to get out that way.
How do you even think of that?
He's very clever, don't forget.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very clever.
That's fucking mental.
So here's Bundy, escaped, going around calling himself Chris Hagen. He was very familiar with college life, don't forget. And he liked it and managed to basically buy food and pay his way at local college bars with stolen credit cards. He would also sneak into lecture halls and listen to speakers. So he's making himself right at home, basically.
Well, I suppose whilst I'm on the run, I'm going to better myself.
Honestly, you can think that is probably what he was thinking.
Oh my God.
May as well, I'm a murderer and a necrophiliac and a rapist, but I'm just going to go listen to this lecture.
Yeah, could be interesting. I could learn something.
Broaden my horizons.
Twat.
Fucking dickhead. So, as we just said, Ted Bundy was a murderer, a rapist and a necrophile. So it was only a matter of time before he started causing chaos again. He's not going to be able to escape.
He did not get rehabilitated.
And calm the fuck down. No, he doesn't do that. Spoiler alert, he does not do that.
Spoiler alert.
So on the 14th of January, some sources say the 15th, in 1978, Bundy broke into Florida State University's Chi Omega sorority house. This is quite well known.
I think this is what I associate with Bundy.
Yeah, most people do.
Yeah.
So he broke into the sorority house. He bludgeoned and strangled 21-year-old Margaret Elizabeth Bowman to death as she slept. So he's very much going back to his earlier documented killings.
It's like he's testing the waters again.
Yeah, and he's thought, right, well, he's literally going back and mirroring what he did early on, and he wasn't caught for that, was he? So
no.
He also bludgeoned, strangled, brutally bit and raped 20-year-old Lisa Janet Levy as she slept.
Where did he bite her?
On the buttocks.
Yeah, I remember.
Bundy then went on to beat 21-year-old Karen Chandler over the head with a log, fracturing her skull and crushing her jaw, right arm and fingers, but she survived. He also beat 21-year-old Kathy Kleiner as she slept, shattering her jaw and ripping open her right cheek, but she also survived. Investigators believe Bundy was interrupted before he was able to kill the other two girls by Nita Neary. Nita was the girl's roommate and came home around 3 a.m. She noticed
nothing good happens at 3 a.m.
Nothing good happens at 3 a.m. Absolutely. And she noticed the front door was slightly open as she went in. She could hear footsteps above her going towards the stairs. So she hid in a doorway, and then she saw a man sort of go past wearing a blue cap, carrying a log and leaving the house. Just nonchalantly.
Yeah. Oh, just
fucking tit.
Make my way out.
So that same night, I mean, the fact that he did all this ever is crazy. The fact that he did this in one night and then goes on to do more.
It's like he's having a blowout. I've been locked up.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. He's obviously had it built up and he's just going on a frenzy. So that same night, 21-year-old Cheryl Thomas was attacked in her sleep again, 8 blocks from the Chi Omega sorority house. Cheryl also survived but suffered a fractured skull and jaw, like the other girls. She was left with permanent deafness and equilibrium damage. Police found a mask on her floor left behind by Bundy. So, as we literally just said, Bundy was clearly frenzied at this time, committing so many violent acts in one night and leaving evidence behind.
Yeah, so he's not being smart about it.
He's also leaving witnesses.
Exactly. He's not making sure that, he's actually killed some of these people. It's literally just, I need to get this out of myself.
And also,
it's like murder vomit.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that he got away with it for so long, he's escaped prison twice now. Yeah. So I think the fact that yes, they're frenzied killings, but also I think he is honestly getting more of an ego. He thinks he's more untouchable because it's like, well, I've got away with it so far. They put me in jail, but I broke out.
I think it's just an amalgamation of all of it, really, isn't it? It's like the blowout, the confidence, the arrogance, all of that. It's just all of it is just exploding out of him now.
An imperfect vile storm.
Yeah.
Ugh, hate him. On the 9th of February, Bundy abducted 12-year-old Kimberly Diane Leach from Lake City Junior High School in Lake City, Florida. Kimberly was last seen being led to a white van by a man who was later identified as Bundy. Her body was found inside a pig pen. Some sources say it was beside it. Kimberly had been raped before having her throat cut. Post-mortem, her genital area was mutilated with a knife.
Oh, that poor baby girl.
Oh, it's just horrendous. Within a week of Kimberly's disappearance, Bundy was arrested again, this time for driving a stolen vehicle. So both times he was arrested, it's car-related. It's not actually for being the murderous arse he is.
Yeah.
Which is...
that poor little girl.
Oh, I know, it's awful. So investigators had eyewitnesses who identified Bundy from the sorority house murders and Kimberly's school. They also had physical evidence that linked him to the 3 murders, including a mould of the bite marks found on Margaret Elizabeth Bowman's body.
Oh, thank goodness they did that.
Yeah, very clever that they did that. But Bundy...
Being Bundy,
being the psychopathic narcissist that he was, believed he could just beat a guilty verdict. You know, he's represented himself. He's broken out of jail. He's literally feels like he's untouchable. That's what I'm getting from this awful man, is that he just thinks he's above it all.
Yeah, that's it.
So he turned down a plea bargain in which he could have pled guilty to killing the 2 sorority house murderers, and Kimberly, in exchange for 25-year sentences.
So that rather than death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ted Bundy went on to trial in Florida on the 21st of June. 21st? 21st of June.
So apparently in one of our earlier episodes, I develop a lisp for a very brief time.
I don't even
I think
remember
you've just
that.
done it that.
Oh, okay. I
I
caught your list.
You caught my lisp.
So, 25th of June, actually.
Oh, it's completely wrong day.
in 1979, for the sorority house murders, the trial was televised, and Bundy, which he would have loved that. He's on
it's like
telly now.
The world awaits me.
And yeah, Bundy appeared to play up to the media when on occasion he acted as his own attorney.
The whole thing is him acting.
Oh, completely. But Bundy was found guilty on both murder charges and given 2 death sentences by the electric chair, which I honestly do not think he saw coming.
No, because he's too arrogant.
Yeah.
I know we're using the same words over and over again, but they do
fit,
describe
though.
him. He has his ego wouldn't have let him think that he was going to get a death sentence. Well, 2 death sentences.
That's the thing, he's so delusional.
Delusional.
It's just, that wouldn't have even occurred to him. No. And, you know, some of the interviews with him that I've seen on the documentary, he just comes across so blasé about it. And he's like, oh, you know, basically, it's just a matter of time before I get, you know, I get popped.
I'll get myself out of this.
Literally, I will get myself out of this. That's basically what he's saying.
Oh, wait, so he was only convicted for 2 murders?
Well, on the 7th of January 1980, Bundy went on trial for killing Kimberly Leach. But this time he allowed his attorneys to represent him. Not that,
I mean,
what
was so fucking different?
Unsurprisingly, they went for an insanity plea. Which really was the only defence possible, with the amount of evidence stacked against him. But Bundy was found guilty and received a 3rd death sentence.
I mean, you can tell he's not fucking insane.
Oh,
don't get me wrong. It's not insane in the way that insane is meant.
He's not. It's not diminished. I can't speak.
No, I know what you mean.
Diminished capacity.
Yeah.
In his.
No, he knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing. A lot of it was premeditated.
Yeah. Including the escape.
Exactly. I'm sorry, but no.
That's the small hole. I need to lose a bit of weight.
Yeah.
I know. That's not insanity.
No, of course not.
You know, and he's being very... The strangling is quite a personal method.
Yeah.
As well. Like, he wanted to do that with his bare hands.
Exactly.
Bludgeoning, you know, that's just, again, I think that's just, he needed to use violence. He needed...
and also,
he's not insane. He's not insane.
No, he's not. And don't
wasn't insane.
Forget, he also revisited the bodies because he was an
Exactly, yeah.
So despite his endless attempts at appeals, Bundy's last stay of execution was on the 17th of January in 1989. The fact that this was happening when I know you were only just alive.
No, I wasn't.
Oh no, you wouldn't have been alive.
No. Later that year.
Okay, I was alive.
You were
I'm
alive.
old. But I can't comprehend that this was happening in our in my lifetime. Obviously, not all the murders, but this section.
I think now,
I
think of the 70s and I think that was only 30 years ago, and it's not. There are some crazy children outside your house.
Honestly, every time I hear noises now, I just think it's something true crime related. I'm like, what is that?
I think you're all right here, babe.
Okay.
But, I still think of the 70s as like 30 years ago. It's not. And it just seems so far away in terms of my existence and whatnot. And then I think some of the crazy shit that has happened whilst I've been alive, it's like, Jesus.
Yeah. Well,
Like this shit shouldn't be happening in our lifetime, but
shouldn't be happening in anyone's lifetime.
No.
It's just, yeah. So before being put to death, Bundy gave the Washington State Attorney General's chief investigator, Detective Bob Keppel, details of more than 50 women he had murdered. He also confessed to keeping the severed heads of some of his victims at his home, and this is also when he admitted to engaging in necrophilia with some of his victims' bodies. So again, as I said last episode, it's when he knows he is going to die, and there's literally no way out for him. It's only then that he starts to confess.
Do you know what? It's like a last hurrah for him.
I think it is that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I'm going now.
I may as well tell you all the awful things I did.
But not all of them.
Yeah.
I still want to keep you guessing. Yeah. But, like, have some more. As if there hasn't been enough already,
right.
You sick fucking bastard, you.
Sick fuck. So we've discussed, like, some of the dreadful details of some of Bundy's victims. So I think it's only fair to share the details of their murderer's death too. So I'm going to talk about when he died.
Question. Do you think he should have... What's worse, being put to death or living, like, the rest of your life in prison? Like, he had the luxury of death.
Yeah.
To me, that feels like he should have been allowed to roam about and have his comeuppance be brought upon him by other... Because a lot of, you know, especially, like, with the youngsters... People like that weren't taken too kindly in prison.
But he probably would have been segregated, wouldn't he?
Well, especially as he's an escape risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And also, don't forget, him existing means that people, you know, he can imagine people are still talking about him.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I would like to talk about him dying because I think it's only fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, he would have been killed anyway because he raped a 12-year-old. So, like I said, the nonsense don't fare well.
So, on the 24th of January in 1989, Bundy was moved to the death chamber and strapped into the electric chair in front of 42 witnesses. Bundy's head bowed, and once prepared, 2,000 volts of electricity surged through his body. His hands and body visibly tightened up, and smoke could be seen coming from his right leg. Then the machine turned off, and Bundy was checked by a doctor one last time before being pronounced dead at 7:16 a.m. as the crowd outside cheered, "Burn, Bundy, burn." I mean, whether you agree with that or not, I just felt like it was fair to tell everybody how he died.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It caused so much suffering.
Do you know what would have been better? And now it's horrific to read about it, but you've read The Green Mile or seen The Green Mile film. What they did to John Coffey where they didn't wet the sponge. That should have happened to Bundy.
Oh, definitely. And also, following his execution, scientists removed Bundy's brain and studied it for signs of physical abnormalities that could have explained his violent behaviour.
Yeah.
Which I think he would have hated the thought of somebody cutting him up. So I feel like that's another jab to him.
But then, because he was executed, would that not have had,
yes,
an effect on the brain? Like, perhaps it would have looked damaged. And
possibly.
Then, you know, it could have been misconstrued as, oh, look, here's an abnormality, but it's actually from the 2,000 volts that went through him.
Don't forget this was 89, so this was quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for that.
I'm older than you. What are you talking about?
That was a long time ago. You old bitch, you.
I'm older than you.
Yeah, but you don't look it.
Neither do you.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you.
So many of those directly involved with Bundy believed that he murdered at least 100 women. And after researching and really disgustingly getting to know more about this vile human, I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
it is very likely. And in 1987, he told Detective Bob Keppel that there were some murders that he would never talk about because they were committed too close to home, too close to family, or involved victims who were very young. Bearing in mind the age of his youngest victim documented
is 12.
is 12. So
I think that really, I hate the fact not knowing, because these people need
there's no closure.
closure. Yeah, it's closure and it's justice.
Exactly.
I mean, nothing can be done now because he is dead. But at least...
It would put things to rest,
And
wouldn't it?
people will, their families will know.
Yeah. So with that in mind, in 2011, Bundy's complete DNA profile was added to the FBI's DNA database for future reference. So you never know what might happen in the future. Hopefully, it will be used and it will be useful.
See, that's another thing that was in people like Bundy's favour, is the fact that DNA wasn't really a thing. It wasn't a thing then.
Yeah.
And I think that's how people got away with so much.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
No cameras anywhere. You know, I mean, there are eyewitness statements, but when police forces aren't talking to each other. So, Bundy's suspected victims include... So these are ones that are not documented, but people strongly believe...
That he was involved.
He was involved with. So they include 8-year-old Anne-Marie Burr, who vanished from her Tacoma home on the 31st of August back in 1961. Bundy would have been 14 years old.
And wouldn't put it past him.
No, it all kind of tracks for me. An unknown tennis shoe imprint was found at the scene next to an overturned bench, which would have been used to enter her house. And due to the small size of the shoe print, police believed the perpetrator would have been a teenager. The house Anne-Marie lived in with her family was on Bundy's newspaper delivery route, and Burr's father reportedly saw Ted in a ditch at a construction site on the nearby UPS campus the morning after his daughter disappeared.
Suspicious.
Very suspicious. Keppel observed that the Burr case fits Bundy's previous comments about murder he wouldn't talk about because they were too close to home, too close to family, and very young.
Yeah.
And Anne-Marie has never been found. So I think that's highly likely. There are so many other ones that fit his MO, that fit the timing, that fit locations. But again, it's hot. You've only got his word and whatever evidence at the time. So it's so difficult, so frustrating.
And the thing is, if bodies that haven't been found from that long ago, I don't think they get anything from them now.
No, probably not.
They wouldn't be able to get anything. No, they wouldn't be able to get anything. And
so I'm going to sort of take a leap a little bit backwards because I'm going to talk about his car.
Okay.
Because this is Cars of the Macabre, and his car basically was pivotal.
Pivotal?
It was pivotal.
You created a new word.
I have. God's sake. This is what Ted Bundy done to my brain. I can't speak anymore. Not like
You've been bundied. Oh, no.
Ew. So, I'll start that again.
Yeah.
Pivotal. Pivotal.
Pivotal. There we go.
Yay. Pivotal to Ted Bundy's crimes was, of course, his car. So in 1974, he had bought what is documented to be his first bug. It was a tan 1968 VW Beetle from his hometown of Tacoma, Washington, where his killing spree began. A friend of his actually had one very similar, and he remembered Ted being particularly taken with the grab handles inside the bug. If you've ever been in an old bug,
yeah,
they've got. Well, actually, they put them in the new bugs as well. The grab handles. For 2 years, Ted
why was he taking the grab handles?
A point to restrain people.
Yeah, like handcuff.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Reg. Sorry, Mike.
For 2 years, Ted Bundy's Volkswagen Beetle became part of his MO as he performed dozens of murders, first in Washington and Oregon, then in Utah and Colorado. he had removed the bug's passenger seat and its inside door handle. So basically he would trap the victim inside the car, where they were often handcuffed and to the car itself and strangled. Whilst out on bail, Bundy actually sold the first Beetle to a Utah teenager, but police then seized the car when they charged Bundy with the attempted kidnapping of Carol Durant. So obviously they need it for evidence. And despite Bundy attempting to clean the car before he sold it, forensics found blood stains in the Beetle and hairs from 3 of his murder victims.
When was that? What year was that?
So
I think of forensics.
So they seized the car when he'd been charged with the attempted kidnap of Carol Durant. So if Goobs, can you look at when Carol Durant was kidnapped? Just because I'll have to go back to my first load of notes, otherwise to get the date.
I'm just thinking, like, forensics, was that like years after his?
Well, no, it was seized when he was charged with the attempted kidnapping, which was in November 8th, 1974. It doesn't say a date when the forensics looked at it.
Okay.
Hang on. Literally, it says, this was when Bundy was first convicted and sent to Utah State Prison. So it was around that time. So, yeah, it was... Which is pretty good for the time.
Yeah.
In February 1978, he was arrested again, and he was behind the wheel of an orange Volkswagen Beetle. This car belonged to a guy called Garzaniti. I can't read. Garzaniti.
We'll go with that. It sounds right.
Okay, yeah, right. Who later went on to testify at Bundy's trial when he got his car back. The rear seat was missing and the entire car was covered in fingerprint dust. He says of the car, I didn't think too much about it because I had a feeling that Kimberly Leach might have been in that car.
Oh.
So this guy, after driving his bug for a few months, Garzaniti decided to sell it. And a man in Orlando bought it for his 16-year-old daughter for $1,300 as her first car. But apparently, Garzaniti.
It changes every time she fucking says it.
It's fine. He was apparently very clear about the Beatles' history when he sold the car. So the buyer knew and didn't seem to mind.
I mean, is that his own weird, morbid interest?
But he's buying it for his daughter.
I know.
Fair enough if it's for you and you were a weirdo.
Yeah.
But
Ooh,
not for your daughter's first.
I mean, I love you, Dad, but no.
If a car's ever going to be haunted, it'd be that one.
Yeah.
I mean. While Bundy was on death row, former Salt Lake City Sheriff's Deputy Lonnie Anderson bought Bundy's first death beetle, I'm calling it the death beetle, for $925 at a police auction. It was then hidden away in a storage yard for nearly 20 years, and in 1997, with most of its interior still missing from the investigation, Lonnie attempted to sell Bundy's bug, and he advertised it in the New York Times classified ads at an asking price of $25,000.
Oh.
So Bundy's 68 death beetle has become one of the crime world's most infamous pieces of murderabilia, and in 2001 it was purchased by a crime memorabilia collector called Arthur Nash, and in 2010 it was lent to the National Museum of Crime and Punishment in Washington, D.C., where it was on display in the lobby for 4 years. That museum has since closed. So today, his tan 1968 Volkswagen Beetle, which has just been part of all of his murders pretty much, still owned by Nash, is on display at the Alcatraz East Crime Museum in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where it sits alongside John Wayne Gacy's paint box and O.J. Simpson's white Ford Bronco.
Oh my gosh.
See, that's one that I bet you if Zach Bagans could, he'd have that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
For sure.
Interestingly, the whereabouts of Garzaneti's orange
What happened? You just
orange.
just letters now.
I'm just too much Ted Bundy. The whereabouts of Garzaneti's orange. I just can't say it again.
Garzaneti.
Garzaneti. I can't even talk now. Anyway, that guy, his orange VW Beetle is unknown to this day. So we don't know where it is. So if anyone has any idea where this Beetle is,
Tell us.
So this is the orange one, the second kind of murder tool
That was bought for a 16-year-old girl.
That was bought for a 16-year-old girl. Apparently is still, we don't know where it is. Could have been crushed, could have been destroyed. Yeah. It could be somewhere. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to know where that is. So I wanted to talk about Bundy's mental health next because obviously we have extensive experience with mental health within ourselves and our family and all friends. So we find this intriguing. So many psychiatrists studied Bundy, as you can well imagine, his behaviour, his actions, and between all of them, he was thought to have the following mental health issues. Antisocial personality disorder. Mm-hmm. He was a sociopath, a psychopath. Mm-hmm. He had narcissistic personality disorder.
Yep.
Apparently bipolar personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder.
Yep.
Schizoid personality disorder, addictive disorder, and Machiavellianism.
Machiavellianism.
Oh, damn it. I knew I should have written that down. I had the meaning of it. And then I was like, oh, no, I won't need to write that down because I've got too many notes and I didn't write it. Goobs is going to find that for us, so we'll come back. It's... Right, Machiavellian.
I can't see that because I don't have my seeing eyeglasses
so I can... People... All right, so... Definition of Machiavellianism. People who display especially elevated levels of Machiavellianism referred to by some psychologists as high max. I like that. Lack empathy and take a cynical, unemotional view of the world. Their primary interests centre on power and status, and they'll do whatever is necessary to achieve their goals. I mean, that does sound like him.
Yeah. I mean, mine's not the power thing, but some of that I was like, yeah, I can relate. Yeah. Cynical view of the world and all of that, yeah. But no, power and status for me, no.
No. I mean, it's clear from his actions that we know of and that we don't bloody know of that he was not the full ticket. And... No. I mean, with or without any sort of psychological evaluations, we know that. My question I will come back to, like from the beginning when I said, was he born evil?
Yes.
Was he born evil?
Well,
because yes, he may have had this kind of...
But how does...
disturbed childhood.
A 3-year-old start doing those sorts of things if they weren't already inclined?
Exactly.
That's what I think. No 3-year-old. I don't know. They see things, they pick them up. So kids have done that with knives, but and this is the argument many people will say. Plenty of people have traumatic childhoods who do not go on to become serial killers and rapists and necrophiles. I mean, so maybe their brain was already in some way. Again, it's the developmental years and stuff, so maybe some people are impacted more than others. I don't know, I think... and
the thing is...
Mark's saying here, 10% nature, 90% nurture. It's more environment. I read a book once.
Amazing.
Yeah, well done. Proud of you.
That's the thing. I think all arguments are valid and could kind of...
And is it ever going to be one of those points that's proven?
No, I don't think it ever will be.
No.
You can only surmise, really.
I mean, I think he may have had tendencies as a child, but they were groomed to become what they became.
Yeah, he kind of worked on
but then
becoming a dickhead.
I'm not so sure because his stepfather, he potentially didn't have a bad family life.
No, so from all accounts, his life with his mother his siblings and his stepfather, there was nothing wrong there.
No.
He was cared for. He didn't have all the fancy things he wanted, but that's
Who
not
fucking
that's
does?
not trauma.
No.
You fucking wanker. That's just
Oh,
obviously.
do you know what? I'm going to lash out and kill someone because I don't fucking have a pony.
Yeah, I haven't got a Rolex. I must kill that person. Fuck off.
No.
I mean, again, maybe he was abused as a child. We don't know. He could, that's the thing. If he'd have had abuse as a child, he could have suffered some sort of brain damage.
Yeah.
And with him being so young, that could have then altered the way he developed.
Well, precisely,
Yeah.
frontal lobe damage or something like that.
Yeah.
That could have really changed the course of his life.
I think that's why they thought if they took his brain out, they might be able to see. But then after frying it with all the voltage.
Yeah, probably not.
It's like,
So, I think if there is such a thing as being born evil, and that's if, Ted possibly could have been one of them.
yeah.
I think a lot of the time, well, not possibly, he would have been one of them. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's because there's a lot of people that it will have been predominantly nurture that has led them to become that way. But if there is such a thing as being born evil, then yeah, Ted's up there.
I think in my personal opinion, this is my opinion, I think he was just predisposed to be an evil fuck.
Yeah.
The fact he was like killing mice at a young age and
I mean, that's one of the
fascinated with knives at 3 years old.
Yeah. Well, just think how many times you're told not to touch that.
Yeah.
And stuff. So is it curiosity? But then it's the fact that it was the ritualistic of like placing them around.
Yeah.
That takes some thought process.
It's not just wandering about with a knife and being like, oh no, put that down.
Yeah.
It's placing them around someone's sleeping body.
Yeah. You don't think of that at 3 years old.
One would hope not. Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the alternative pop culture side of all of this, because obviously, researching a lot of this, and I would say if you want to know more, there's a lot more to know. Everything is got a lot more information around it, especially like the documentary I watched was very, very good and quite useful for this, but I'll go through a list of stuff. So also the good thing with looking at different sources is you get different people's perspectives and different people's point of views and experiences. And so, just in case you want to do that. So Netflix released Conversations with a Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes, which was based on a book by author Stephen Mitchell and journalist Hugh Ainsworth. The book was written based on more than 150 hours of interviews with Bundy.
Gosh, can you imagine listening to that?
Jesus. In 1980, when Bundy was on death row, he sent out an open invitation to journalists offering up interviews and with him in exchange for the case against him being re-examined. So he was like,
I mean, go
come
for
and
it,
talk
dude.
to me as long as I can basically have another appeal. That's
the thing. Go for it, because you're not going to win.
No, exactly. And
So all right, we'll do that.
Yeah,
you know full well he's not going to win. So
exactly. One of the most interesting elements of this, I think, is when Bundy was being interviewed by journalist Stephen Mitchell on death row and asked direct questions about what he did, he dodged them and just completely chatted absolute bullshit. He basically painted a romanticised picture of how his life wasn't. He said how he was popular at school and he was in all the teams, and that just wasn't true. He was bullied at school. So he's painting this picture of how he wants to be perceived, but it's not true.
Yeah. He just liked the sound of his own voice, and he's talking about a life that he wanted.
Exactly, it is a life that he wanted, and it's just this. I honestly think it's probably these grandiose ideas are just ingrained into his own thoughts. But as soon as Stephen changed tactics and prompted Bundy to talk about himself in the third person, as if he was almost like an eyewitness to the crimes,
narrator,
he started talking non-stop. With details and actual information.
That's interesting.
Really interesting. Really? So I would say, if you want to watch anything, that's a very good documentary to watch. Yeah. Even just for that bit, because you're like, what? Yeah, it's really strange.
Why has that changed so much all of a sudden?
Yeah, but the other thing, being Bundy, dickhead, he basically worded everything that he said in a way that meant it couldn't be used as evidence against him.
Fucking hell, that...
Too clever.
Yeah.
Too fucking clever. So then we've got The Deliberate Stranger was a 1986 television movie featuring actor Mark Harmon as Bundy. One of Bundy's lawyers called the film stunningly accurate, which is why I've included this as a recommendation, because the fact that, the lawyers have said it was very good. Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, starring Zac Efron as Bundy and Lily Collins' girlfriend, Elizabeth Klopfer, debuted in 2019 at Sundance Film Festival. Netflix film. The title comes from Judge Edward Cowart's post-centering marks to Bundy, which is pretty fucking accurate. Then Chad Michael Murray played Bundy in the 2021 film Ted Bundy, American Boogeyman.
Oh, I've not heard of that.
The same year, Luke Kirkby played Bundy in No Man of God, which is based on conversations the killer had with FBI analyst Bill Hagemeyer in the 1980s. The Stranger Beside Me is a book published in 1980 written by Anne Rule, who was a co-worker of Bundy at the Crisis Hotline. I mentioned her earlier. Yeah. And her book describes how she comes to realise that Bundy was a serial killer, and then draws from their sort of ongoing correspondence, which lasted until shortly before Bundy's execution. Oh. And Rule's book was turned into a TV movie of the same name in 2003. So again, another perspective, someone who worked with him. Then there's The Phantom Prince, My Life with Ted Bundy, was written by Bundy's ex-girlfriend Elizabeth Klopfer about dating and loving a serial killer. It was published in 1981 while he was on death row, and Elizabeth actually reported Ted Bundy to the police.
Yes.
And despite this leading to Ted Bundy being a prime suspect, they didn't bring him in for questioning at this time. So that's very interesting because, it's not like it's a romanticised version from her point of view. She reported him to the police.
Yeah.
So...
I fucking tried. What more can I do?
Exactly. And then Rhonda Stapley, who survived the brutal attack by Bundy in Utah in 1974, wrote a book about her experience called I Survived Ted Bundy, The Attack, Escape and PTSD That Changed My Life. And then Polly Nelson published Defending the Devil, My Story as Ted Bundy's Last Lawyer in 1994. Nelson was a newly minted lawyer who was offered Bundy's case pro bono by the Washington law firm, where she worked just weeks before he was scheduled to be executed.
Fuck! Why would you do it pro bono?
I have no fucking idea.
I don't know how defence lawyers do it.
Oh, God, I don't know.
No.
I have literally no idea.
In his like a challenge.
No, fuck that. In his final interview, he blamed his exposure to pornography at an impressionable age as being the stimulant behind his murderous obsessions, which sounds like the excuse of a narcissistic psychopath killer to me.
And how many people have tried to use that as a fucking excuse?
And with that, I'm done. I can't and won't talk about Ted Bundy anymore.
No, I think we should go and do something fun. I don't know what.
I literally have nothing else to say, so I'm going to go straight into random fact time because I am traumatised.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start,
yes,
and this might lead you on to yours, I think.
Okay, yeah, because I do not have one.
That's fine. I think this will help you out. So, my random fact, my tattoos are all pirate themed. So apart from my left arm and hand, where I've got my bat, the crucifix that I did myself, and my rock and roll tattoo that I did myself, And I do have an Elvis tattoo here, in amongst the pirate-themed right arm. I've also got a ghost ship on my back. I love pirates, and I was a pirate in a former life.
Yeah, and I also have a pirate-themed tattoo. Is that what you were getting at?
Yep.
Yeah. On my leg. Mine is in colour, and I had that done so many years ago.
God, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it started off being... There's a Spanish pin-up artist called Olivia de Verdinis, I think, is how you pronounce it. And she did a piece of Betty Page. She did a lot of pin-up girls, but in like sort of, different pin-up girls. But she did a piece, Betty Page dressed as a pirate. So I had that done initially, and then had the rest of the pirate theme built up around it.
Love it.
Yeah. And then obviously we've got matching anchors.
We do have matching anchors, which we're going to get embellished.
Embellished, yes.
Pennyroyal.
Yeah.
And then Mark, his random fact is a tattoo one as well. He says, I have a tattoo of a duck on my leg.
It's holding a gun.
Fab.
And he said it's got red eyes.
It's a little
and I'm
scary.
pretty sure that's your most painful tattoo. Because the tattooist basically, she was new, she was apprentice.
Oh no.
And full on like just dug the needle into his leg.
that.
It was gouging him with it.
Fuck that.
I wasn't with him at the time, but he told me the story. Yeah. And as he is a non-speaking participant, I thought I should elaborate for him on his behalf. You're welcome.
Right. I mean, that's all we have to say. Make sure that you...
I'm done.
I'm so done with this.
Done.
So done with this. So thank you if you have managed to keep listening.
Tom, you've been a star.
Yeah, thanks. Even Tom might have fucked off by now. He's probably like, nah, fuck this. No,
I'll keep it going.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'll play it, but I'm not listening. But no, thank you. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, download. Otherwise, you don't get the points.
That was really good.
That was really good. We didn't even try.
No.
We are trying.
It's better when we don't try. Well, we're very trying.
We are trying. Reg did hate it. He's looking at us in absolute despair. As always, thank you very much, Mark from Park Lane Studios, who does all the sound and makes the sound professional.
Yes, even if the content
I can't
not
speak.
It's fine.
We'll say
It's life
Gizzard
at this
Razanti,
point.
or whatever his name was.
Gizzard Tintin.
Gizzard Tintin. So until next time,
Stay spooky, bitches.